And what's happened now, though, I mean, frankly, there isn't a crisis. There's only the crisis of the way we think. There's no reason you couldn't turn all of this around tomorrow if you wanted it to.
Somebody makes a Terminator. Somebody makes a Terminator.
I'm going to talk about a failure of intuition that many of us suffer from. It's really a failure to detect a certain kind of danger. I'm going to describe a scenario that I think is both terrifying and likely to occur. And that's not a good combination, as it turns out. And yet, rather than be scared, most of you will feel that what I'm talking about is kind of cool. I'm going to describe how the gains we make in artificial intelligence could ultimately destroy us. And in fact, I think it's very difficult to see how they won't destroy us or inspire us to destroy ourselves. And yet, if you're anything like me, you'll find that it's fun to think about these things. And that response is part of the problem. Okay, that response should worry you.
Well, the old fantasy takeover by machines, I'm certainly amused by, but we're already taken over. We're already taken over by machines.
I know, but I mean, what if it's like literal?
Yeah, there's no.
You don't think so?
There's nothing in there that I could see programming-wise that would allow for such a thing. The ultimate expression of that was that hideous film I, Robot. At the very end, the computer goes, "We have to exterminate all of humanity because they are a threat to the planet." So their logical calculation that humanity can no longer exist. That's the ultimate sci-fi fantasy of artificial intelligence.
Well, that wasn't necessary, but that's a big budget Will Smith film, and they got to do what they got to do.
Of course.
As an idea of...
But that catered to the long-standing assumptions of artificial intelligence and automation.
And a technological singularity.
Sure. And as Kurzweil points out, we don't really know what will happen with a technological singularity. But
once technology becomes sentient and has the ability to move and manipulate things, who knows?
Well, if they're extensions of us, they become our tools. Who's to say we want to program them to kill anything?
Extensions of us says who? Says us. That's what we were talking about earlier about failed symbiotes.
Sure.
You know, the parasitic relationship between, the symbiotic right now relationship between human beings and computers. It's very similar to if you look at like other organisms that have lampreys on sharks or whatever. I mean, we're almost inseparable. We're a part of the same sort of ecosystem now. We need the lights to stay on. We need the refrigerator to stay cold so that we can preserve the meat better. I mean, we have it sort of set out, so we're almost completely intertwined with technology.
Inevitable.
And then we give birth to the live one. We give birth to technology where it's sentient, where it can figure shit out on its own, and it becomes another life form. It becomes a life form much like a biological carbon-based life form, just completely different and unexpected and something we didn't see coming.
If I were to convince you in this talk that we were likely to suffer a global famine, either because of climate change or some other catastrophe, and that your grandchildren or their grandchildren are very likely to live like this, you wouldn't think, interesting, I like this TED Talk. Okay. Famine isn't fun. Death by science fiction, on the other hand, is fun. And one of the things that worries me most about the development of AI at this point is that we seem unable to marshal an appropriate emotional response to the dangers that lie ahead. I'm unable to marshal this response, and I'm giving this talk.
Just like,
it's all very possible.
Look at, do you ever look at broken computers and shit? Those are bodies. Those are dead bodies.
Sure,
right?
sure.
It's fucking dinosaurs, but they're happening really quickly.
At this stage of our evolution, either we utilize technology to help us and hope for the best, or we're going to perish anyway. So if it happens to be we become enslaved by a bunch of machines in the end, well, so be it. That must be a natural evolution.
So you're cool with that?
Given what's at stake today, I'm cool with that. Given what we have to deal with.
It's as though we stand before two doors. Behind door number one, we stop making progress in building intelligent machines. Our computer hardware and software just stops getting better for some reason. Now take a moment to consider why this might happen. I mean, given how valuable intelligence and automation are, we will continue to improve our technology if we are at all able to. What could stop us from doing this? A full-scale nuclear war? A global pandemic? An asteroid impact? Justin Bieber becoming president of the United States? The point is, something would have to destroy civilization as we know it. Okay? You have to imagine how bad it would have to be to prevent us from making improvements in our technology permanently, generation after generation. Almost by definition, this is the worst thing that's ever happened in human history. So the only alternative, and this is what lies behind door number two, is that we continue to improve our intelligent machines year after year after year. And at a certain point, we will build machines that are smarter than we are.
So I guess a study just came out of, or a survey of AI experts, and they believe, most of them believe that AI will at least be capable of doing every job, and we're talking including creative jobs like best-selling novels and pop songs and stuff, be capable of it in 50 years and perhaps replace those jobs in 100 years. Yeah. Most of them believe that. Yeah. That's happening.
And once we have machines that are smarter than we are, they will begin to improve themselves. And then we risk what the mathematician I.J. Good called an intelligence explosion. That the process could get away from us.
I think people go a little extreme, and I'm for all of this, by the way, but I think the interest in sort of creative dominance and then the fear of the sentient rise, and even Stephen Hawking has talked about the tremendous dangers of giving birth to AI and all the Matrix and Terminators movies all over again.
And that response is part of the problem. Okay, that response should worry you.
But I think I think there's a speculative side to it that is a little gratuitous as far as what we expect to happen. But I don't think we should go that far. I think we should just look at it from the standpoint of what can we do to free ourselves from labor.
Now, this is often caricatured, as I have here, as a fear that armies of malicious robots will attack us. But that isn't the most likely scenario. It's not that our machines will become spontaneously malevolent. The concern is really that we will build machines that are so much more competent than we are that the slightest divergence between their goals and our own could destroy us. Just think about how we relate to ants. Okay, we don't hate them. We don't go out of our way to harm them. In fact, sometimes we take pains not to harm them. We step over them on the sidewalk. But whenever their presence seriously conflicts with one of our goals, let's say when constructing a building like this one, we annihilate them without a qualm. The concern is that we will one day build machines that, whether they're conscious or not, could treat us with similar disregard.
But I don't think we should go that far. I think we should just look at it from the standpoint of what can we do to free ourselves from labor? What can we do to free ourselves from labor?